Is everybody ready to protect your necks? Because Blood Hunt is about to begin. Welcome back, Gainers, to another incredible, exciting, fantastic episode of ComicGains! And if you're new to the show, I'm Adam.
I'm Zach, and this is Princess Royal Hands, looking very lovely, just like usual. She's doing that princess wave. You do too. Bow down, respect, and of course, there's the Coco dog.
Oh, Coco made it. Alright, guys. Well, today is a special Monday episode, kind of a first for ComicGains, so bear with us. I have no idea how this is going to turn out, so we will see. But get your vampire teeth sharpened and ready to sink your teeth into Blood Hunt. I'm going to call this Phase 1, which I'm not really sure how many phases there's going to be, but we'll see. Maybe 4 phases, right?
Yeah. And the phase after this is called They Suck.
They suck. Yeah. So last week, a whole first round of Blood Hunt tie-ins came out. We already reviewed kind of the issue 1 on like a prelude to Blood Hunt. Now we're going to go through 7 tie-ins. So hopefully, I got really excited after reading the first issue, and I think the team did too as well. But as you guys know, or I'll let you guys know, I'm the only one that read the tie-in, so I'm going to be explaining it to the team here and see their thoughts on the book. So there's some pretty cool reveals. I didn't let them know ahead of time what the reveals are for this round, so it'll hopefully be kind of exciting. So like I said, bear with me. I may not be the best storyteller. Maybe I am a really good storyteller. I don't know. I'm not. I don't. Let you guys decide. Princess thinks maybe not. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm good at going on rants.
That's good. That's true. Zach's very good at going on rants. You know what Zach's also good at doing?
Drinking stuff.
Drinking stuff
for every new video. Hopefully it's always new. This is kind of strange, because Gatorade made some water. Actually, they just collected a bunch of water and then they put electrolytes in it, because that's what they're known for. But Gatorade is a company that makes a drink for sports people that's not water. And that's what they've been doing for years and years. But now they're in the water game. They want to do a little of this. I thought water sucked, Gatorade.
H2O.
Water sucks. It really... Anyways, let's get into this. Let's see if this water is...
Doesn't suck? You should have got blood orange for the show.
No.
Blood orange Gatorade.
Oh, this is interesting.
Bloody orange.
Okay. Little debris for the birds to choke on. That's nice. They have a little thing, so... Alright. Oh, it's a classic squirt bottle.
Did you do the squirt? The squirt's dangerous because it just comes on your mouth. It's just water?
I just got water over it. It's just water. There's no sugar. There's
Was
a little bit of salt.
Holy water?
It tastes like water from the sink.
Garlic water?
Yeah, it tastes like water from the sink. This is horrible.
Paid for it.
I paid for it, and now I'm paying for it again.
Exactly. All right, guys. You know how else you won't pay for it? If you hang out with the ComicGains crew.
On Whatnot?
Whatnot?
I was
Yeah, so not every Saturday, but a lot of Saturdays. Check our listing times for when we're on. But if you ever are asking yourself, why does the princess not talk during the ComicGains YouTube shows? Because she talks a lot during Whatnot. And if you want to go check her out, check out her show and our show as well. It's an awesome time. All right. We got limited time, so I'm not sure how long this is going to be. So let's dive right in to the Blood Hunt. So, little backstory just to get you guys going in case you missed our other prelude show. Vampires have taken over the world, and a bunch of characters that had dark force power were used to kind of blot out the sun, and now these vampires took over and were attacking all the heroes, and it got crazy. A bunch of Avengers maybe got killed or captured, and the big reveal at the end was Blade was leading the charge of villains. So Blade is maybe a bad guy. Maybe he's controlled. We don't know. But he stabbed Doctor Strange through the heart, and we kind of ended off there. And we're kind of like, this is where we are. So at the back of every book gives you a nice reading order. And that kind of tells you what order you should read the books in. So it's sometimes confusing because you may get like 7 books in 1 week all at the same time on Saturday. And if you don't read them in the right order, it may or may not matter. Sometimes it doesn't really matter, but they do give you an order. We're going to explain it to you in the order that Marvel says is important. So yeah, let's do that. Let's kick it off. So first book to kick off the Blood Hunt Phase 1 is Amazing Spider-Man 49. This is considered a tie-in book, and it says so right on the cover. This is written by Zeb Wells and John Romita Jr., who is doing the current run for Spider-Man, the same duo. So they'll kind of see like some of these books either continue on some of their real storyline, and some of them just go straight blood hunt. So we'll kind of see. We'll see where this one goes. So we'll open this bad boy up and take a look inside. Can tell you, this is probably wasn't one of my favorite ones, obviously because Amazing Spider-Man hasn't been that great anyways.
Oh.
But it's a decent one. The cover's okay. Got some vampires on it.
It's Romita, right? Which is hit and miss.
Yeah, so it's John Romita Jr. interior. So right off the bat, you get to meet a character named Kareem. And I'm not sure if he's like, he seems to be an existing character. He works for Tombstone. And he's basically looking for White Rabbit. So,
okay.
You know, which White Rabbit's an established character. For some reason, Wells really likes to write about White Rabbit. We see her a lot in all his stories. So you get the reveal, White Rabbit's a vampire. Ta-da! So she's been turned. Kareem's looking for, obviously they work together. They're both stooges for Tombstone. And it's like, oh, there it is. Then you switch over. And you get to see Spider-Man fighting a bunch of vampires, and it kind of leads it in. It's like, obviously, he's in the mix. He's duking it out with some vampires. Nothing too important. He says his regular Spider-Man quips, you know, that kind of stuff.
I'm going to take you out with a stake.
Right? To the heart.
To the heart, right?
And then you realize that Spider-Man's getting a text message, and somebody's like, I need your help, Spider-Man. You got to come help me. And he's like, who is this? Who's asking for my help? And then he shows up, and it's Kareem. So he's like, this bad guy wants my help. That's weird, right?
Okay.
Like a bad guy calling Spider-Man for help.
And it's Kareem, not Cream, right?
I think Kareem. Kareem,
okay.
Right? Yeah. And so he's like telling him like, yo, I need your help. A friend of mine got bit by a vampire, and can you come help me out? You're a superhero. Like that's your jam. So he's like, okay. Like White Rabbit got right. He tells him actually White Rabbit's the one that got stabbed or got bit, and he's like, you know, can you help me save her? And it's kind of interesting. They go into this thing where he's like, yo, if you kill the vampire that bit the person, then they'll revert back to a human. And he's like, how do you know that? And he's like, oh, that's like in every movie. And, you know, like, which is kind of weird, but I guess it's canon now. That's kind of cool. This is my favorite part of probably the entire book is the scene right here where Spider-Man's like, he's like, all right, you wait out here, Kareem. I'm going to go into the house and find White Rabbit. And then he's like tiptoeing around and he sees these rats run across the floor. And he's like, ah! And then Kareem's like, oh my God, what's happening? He's like, oh, it's just a rat. And he's like, okay. Like, why would you scream for that? And then on the next page, he gets attacked by White Rabbit as a vampire, and he screams again. And then Kareem's like, what, another rat was hiding in there? And he's like, dude, leave me alone.
No, a bunny.
Yeah, a little rabbit. So the Kareem comes in, and he basically locks White Rabbit in this closet, which was kind of his plan. Like, he's like, well, I don't want to kill her. Let's, like, hide her in this closet. And it's kind of funny, they get like a bag of steaks somehow. Spider-Man all of a sudden has like, you know, there's a bag of steaks laying around, as there should be. Do you have a bag of steaks laying around somewhere here?
I was going to take her out for a steak dinner, and it ended up being just, I had a bag of steaks, not the meat kind. Sometimes that happens. Right. I don't know.
So after that, they hide White Rabbit, and finds the guy, and he's tied up he's chained to like a what is that, radiator or a heater, like one of those New York heaters, you know?
Okay.
Those New York style heaters. It's chained up to it. Then he gets to talking to the guy, and he's like, hey, you know, like, he's a vampire, and so Spider-Man's talking to him, and he's like, you know, how did you get into this situation? And he's like, you know, I work at this place, and this guy came in and he bit me and turned me into a vampire, and then when I like woke up, White Rabbit was there, and she's like trying to shake me down for some money, like she always does. And so, because she basically is a villain, so she comes to this guy and like, give me half your money you made this week, or I'm gonna beat the crap out of you. And then he like turned on her and bit her because he's hungry. And then basically he's like, Spider-Man, kill me, like just stake me. I don't want to be a vampire anymore. And Spider-Man realizes like he's not really a bad guy. He's just like accidentally got turned. Okay. And then he's like, okay, like I'm not gonna kill you. And then Kareem stabs him from behind and kills the vampire, and he like melts away. Like you can see him like melting away.
Ew.
Yeah, like it's kind of gross. Like he's like, you know, like, you know, in the Blade movie where they turn like, they just burn up. Mm-hmm. In this book, or at least drawn by John Romita Jr., they melt away. And then you get the kind of the reveal for the book is that Kareem is not as nice a guy as you thought. The only reason he wanted Spider-Man to kill the vampire, not just to save White Rabbit, but to save himself. So he also got bit, but hadn't quite turned, and then you see like the smoke like coming out of his like neck. So it's like, yeah, so it's like he's like saved himself, and so they did revert back. So in the Blood Hunt Marvel universe, if you get bit by a vampire and you kill the not really alpha, but whatever you want to say, the person who bit the other one, you will turn back into a human. So like I said, kind of it gives you one bit of info for the Blood Hunt. Is basically like if you get bit, you turn back into a human. Other than that, the rest of it's kind of garbage.
Okay.
I mean, it's just so basic. And then at the end, Spider-Man's fighting some guys, some more vampires. He goes back out to the street to fight, and then he's like, okay, I run into the Lizard, which I have no idea what the Lizard would have to do with this.
It's out of nowhere,
yeah.
a lizard.
Then it's like...
Who might or might not be a vampire.
A vampire lizard.
Vampire lizard.
Right? He could be a so that's like the end of the book is like, oh, now Spider-Man's going to deal with a vampire lizard, so...
Maybe.
Yeah.
But I'm also thinking, like, if you become a vampire lizard... because you're a lizard, because you regenerate so much, do you actually need blood? Because I'm guessing
blood?
I'm guessing a vampire drinks blood so they can naturally regenerate their cells.
They don't have their own blood, right? Yeah.
But what if you're a lizard and you just regenerate all on your own? Maybe the lizard doesn't need to drink blood.
That could be cool. Or they could be immune to becoming a vampire. But we'll see. You know, sometimes Kurt Connors is a good guy, sometimes he's a bad guy. It just kind of depends on the situation. The Lizard's not my favorite character. I also kind of think that, I'm not sure if Spider-Man's going to be a main character in the Blood Hunt. I'm not sure. There is going to be an Amazing Spider-Man 1 Blood Hunt coming out soon, so I'm not sure if the regular series is even going to continue. But overall, kind of a silly tie-in. But like I said, you get one tidbit of information. Like the artwork is usually, as always, not very good. I don't think so.
On to the next
book. All right, we have Avengers 14. This is also a tie-in, and this is written by Jed MacKay and C.F. Villa, which is cool. Jed MacKay is kind of the main dude behind Blood Hunt, so he is the archetype architect behind all of Blood Hunt. So he's writing multiple books in the series: Avengers, Moon Knight, Doctor Strange, and Blood Hunt, the main book as well. So this book's cool. It's got C.F. Villa's a pretty good artist as well. I like his artwork. I think the cover is actually I don't know what the cover might be C.F. Villa on this one too, I think. But starts out cool. The only difference is this is not the Avengers team. So we saw the Avengers team get their butt kicked in Blood Hunt, and so none of these people are part of the Avengers. So right off the bat, you get Captain America saying, "Avengers, assemble!" And I think it's right here. So he's like sending out a message to all the Avengers like, yo, there's vampires, we need a new Avengers team, let's assemble. So you do like, it's kind of interesting but kind of weird at the same time, so that each page is like introduced. I like this and dislike it at the same time. They're introducing each character and giving them like a little bit of a backstory or why they would be important for the Avengers. Because none of them are on the Avengers currently. So you have like a Captain America, and he talks about being like a good soldier, and when you go to war, you gotta like be a good soldier, obviously, stuff like you like here. And then switch over, and then it's like Hercules is answering the call, and like that's like his jam, and he's like saying like, I'm here to show up and fight whenever there's like tyranny, and like if I get killed doing that, then so be it, you know. You like Hercules?
It's okay.
Hercules. I don't know. I don't know. I've never really read much of Hercules, right?
Rock Hercules is the best.
I've never seen that movie. Is it good?
No. Is it the
Don't give people bad info. There is a Rock Hercules. I heard it was terrible. That's why I never saw it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I'm like, it's actually, you should really watch it. I don't know. But he's obviously like taking the spot for Thor, whatever. Then you get Kate Bishop, who's cool. And she gives you this little story about like arcs and like how arrows are like arcs like people. And if they arc, you know, if she has a good arc, arrows have good arc. Sort of interesting. You get Quicksilver. And they show Quicksilver, and he says that like everyone hates him because he's a jerk, and obviously, but there is one person that he does love, which is Scarlet Witch. I mean, it kind of has some weird brotherly, sisterly love going on there. So he's joining the team out of respect for her. And then you get a character I'm not super familiar with, Hazmat. who appears to like throw like toxic sludge or I don't know, something like that. And she said like basically she's sort of like a new recruit and that she's joining the Avengers. Like
she's part of the temporary team. Questionable.
Yeah, so they do this whole like sound off reporting for duty sort of thing. So it's very much like introducing the team. So it's like we're all here. So like let's go. Right off the bat, Cap and Quicksilver arguing. So like Cap's like, all right, we're gonna do this, and Quicksilver's like, no, we need to go rescue Wanda. So at the end of the one where Wanda was actually one of the guys that got kidnapped.
We need to go rescue Wanda.
Yeah,
sounds like a whiner.
Well, yeah, it's weird. Quicksilver's actually always moving fast. It's like Flash like runs around real fast, but Quicksilver's doing everything fast. So when he does things slow, it actually annoys him. So just talking to people is like a pain in the butt, which is probably why he's such a jerk all the time. So it's pretty crazy. So they get together, they get a car, they get some weird flying car, and they're like, all right, let's go where Cap says we're going to go check things out. And it tells Quicksilver, obviously you're going to be faster if you run, so you might as well run there. And they show up to this place, and this is my favorite part of one more. This part. So they get to this place right at the bat, and it's vampire Nazis. Which is fantastic. Dope. So they get vampire Nazis, and there's a bunch of cool stuff that happens where Quicksilver's talking to them, and he's like, yo, like, I would ask you guys to surrender, but I'm not going to because you're vampires and you're Nazis, and you're both pieces of crap. And I thought that was cool. They do a lot of, like, team working stuff together where, like, Hercules and then Hazmat are working together. Like, he throws a vampire up in the air, and she, like, scorches him. Really, really fun. Cap also mentions that he has a new shield that's like specially silver lined to kill vampires, so it doesn't quite work as well as his old shield. And then there's like a funny part where they talk about how crappy like vampires are and like how crappy Nazis are, and then Cap like chimes in and he says that he's known a lot of good vampires. Like he has friends that are vampires that are good guys, but he's like, everyone I've met that's a Nazi is a piece of crap. So, like, you can't really bulk them together.
Or a Hydra agent.
Yeah, you can't really, like, put them together. And they basically beat up the Nazi vampires, and this ship comes over and sucks them up into the air. And he's like, oh, this is a vortex beam. I didn't know what a vortex beam was. But then the big surprise at the end for this one to get you excited after that is the
Baron Von Blood.
Yeah, Baron Von Blood is back. So if you're a big Invaders fan, he's an old school Nazi.
Baron Von.
Yeah, old school Nazi villain, and I think he's like part vampire too. So it actually works really well. If you guys don't know, Jed McKay is a really big fan of comics, so he reads a lot of them. So he's like bringing back characters that are like, yo, if you didn't remember Baron Von Blood, I did, and now he's in the book because he's a Nazi vampire. So you're wondering, like, this is kind of like, where these Nazi vampires come. That's where they came from.
Baron Von Blood.
So,
Adam in storage.
Yeah, I like this one a lot more. This was a much better time. The artwork was really good. Cap, Nazi vampires, Quicksilver being a punk.
Now we just need the worst of them. The hippie vampires.
Yeah.
Whoa, bro. Are you positive A+? I don't know how blood works.
Could you be a stoner vampire?
Oh, negative.
Or was there like a thing where they like sucked the blood of people that were smoking weed and then they got high? Wasn't that True Blood?
Yeah, I think so.
They couldn't do any drugs, so then they had to like suck the blood of like people that were high on other drugs.
Man, good thing there wasn't fentanyl back then.
Yeah.
Or was there?
I don't know. What bring the room down, Zach? Talk about hard drugs.
I thought we were
talking about all right. Uppers. So I ended that one. Cool book. A lot better than the other one. So next up, this was kind of a big undertaking. This is Blood Hunters #1 Blood Hunt. And I think this is still technically a tie-in, but it's a brand new series for the Blood Hunt saga.
Yeah.
Epic, as you will. Blood Hunters. Great Greg Land cover. This is 3 separate stories, and they're all written by different people, I believe. I think this one's all different people.
That can be
different people, different artwork for each story. And this book was actually pretty good. The first story is a little goofy, and starts out with Hawkeye. So it starts out with Hawkeye. He's in this restaurant. I guess if you're reading the Hawkeye and I think it's Black Widow series, it kind of gives you some background for this. Apparently he's in trouble with the law, so he has a disguise, so he's wearing a mustache. These cops approach him and they're like, yo, we're looking for you. You need to go to jail, boy. And then he's like, oh, well, let me finish this food first. And this vampire jumps through the window. And he's like, hey, do you guys want me to help you with this vampire? And they're like, okay. So he starts shooting the vampires. He does a pretty good job. I mean, he's pretty awesome with a bow. And some vampires are like, oh, I can't believe, like, I wouldn't expect to see anybody shooting bows and arrows anymore. Like, just making jokes about someone shooting bows and arrows. And he's basically in, like, this little diner that's in a little town. And the town's, like, overrun by vampires. And he kind of, like, gets up on this, like, top of the building. And he's got, like, whatever people he could get to survive with him on the top. So he's, like, his crew. And one of them's a puppeteer. He's like, you have any weapons? He's like, I got my puppet. My wooden puppet.
Beware of my wooden puppet.
Yeah, and then the other guy's like, there's a priest, and then some lady, and then when they look over the edge, it's like the whole town's overrun with vampires. Like, all right, we gotta go down here and mess it up. So they go down and fight the vampires, and like Hawkeye's kind of whatever, you know, like he's cool or not, but shoots a bunch of vampires, stabs a bunch of vampires. Then the guy with the puppet's like, get him, Geppetto, or I think his name's like Pagliacci, and he stabs a vampire with his wooden puppet. It's kind of funny. And they set this whole thing up where the priest like goes up on top where there's a big water what was like water towers.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and then he does the old, you know, that happens a lot in movies. Yeah, blesses the water, and then they're like, dump it over, and then they dump all the water out, and it like basically like melts all the vampires with holy water. Pretty standard. I feel like that happens in a lot of movies, and then it's just at the end, he's like, all in a good day's work, you know, like with his goofy mustache, you know, like Hawkeye, and he's like, I took care of that mess.
I'd still arrest him, though. If I was...
I thought the cop's like, okay, I'll let you go. You did a good job.
I'd
Hawkeye.
still arrest him.
It's kind of a goofy story, like super goofy story. But that's it. I thought you kind of get the idea on the cover, like they might all join a team and be the Blood Hunters, but they do not.
Yeah.
So that was Hawkeye's story. Super quick, super simple. Artwork's decent. I really enjoyed the second story a lot. So this is the second story is Man Wolf, and the artwork is fantastic on this one. And you get this cool thing where J. Jonah Jameson is the publisher, or was the publisher of the Daily Bugle. And the old story, Man Wolf was his son, who was an astronaut who went to the moon and then came back and became a man wolf. He's not quite a werewolf. He explains that too. He's like, it's not wolf man, it's man wolf. So he's like more intelligent than a regular wolf. But he's gone through a bunch of strides over the years, and he's like, yeah, I think he works at a prison, he says, and he's J. Jonah Jameson's like, hey, I'm trying to be proud of you, and you can tell there's a little like he hasn't done much with his life since being like an astronaut, and they get into a mix. A bunch of vampires show up immediately. He turns into Man Wolf and starts kicking the vampire's butt. And some really cool artwork, like him just ripping apart vampires and stuff like that. And the whole time, Jonah's like freaking out. And he's like, I gotta call Spider-Man. Like, we're gonna get killed. I gotta call him. Like, Spider-Man's gotta get here. And he's like, Dad, I'm handling this right now. I'm killing these things. Kills these. And then they walk a little bit further and they get into another mix with some more vampires. And then immediately Jonah's like, I gotta call Spider-Man. Like, where is he? He needs to answer my calls and like save me. And it's kind of messed up. And then like Man Wolf tells him like, hey, remember when you hated Spider-Man, you said I was the real hero for being an astronaut. And now that we're in trouble, all you want to do is call Spider-Man. And I'm like taking care of all this business. And then he does some cool stuff. Like he like rips apart these vampires that show up. And then at a certain point, he gets bit. So the Man Wolf gets bit. And then Jonah's like, all right, I'm going to have to stake my own son. Like, so he doesn't like become a vampire, and he gets these stakes ready. And he has a bag of stakes for some reason too. I don't know why. He just shows up. He's like, I'm gonna have to stake my own son. And then he's like, Dad, I'm immune to vampire bites. So apparently he's immune to vampire bites. And there's a cool scene where he actually like bites off a vampire's head. Isn't that dope? Yeah. And then saves his dad again. He actually is gonna like leave him on this bench, and then these vampires come to like kill him. And at the very end, Spider-Man finally calls Jonah back, and he's like, hey, where are you, Jonah? You still need my help? And he's like, no, my son's here. He's taking care of things.
He's the real hero.
He's the real hero. And then they hug it out.
So what does he have a gem on his chest?
I don't know. That's the God gem. Godstone. I don't know. It's cool, right?
Like Punisher's stone?
I wish I knew more about Man Wolf, but yeah, he's able to even like blast a vampire's face with the Godstone and kill it. And I was like, well, that's It's cool.
Let's put all these mystical gods in these stones and give them to people so they can become powerful.
I think that's how he turns into Man-Wolf originally. It has something to do with that stone. But it's cool. I'd like to see more Man-Wolf. I really enjoyed it. It's a very heartfelt story, and the artwork was cool. So really good. Last story is good. It's very simple. It's just Dagger. So the last story is Dagger. Tandy Bowes. Reason this is important is Cloak was one of the characters who had the Dark Force power that was used to block out the sun. So she is alone. So Dagger is by herself. She can like make these like light daggers and like throw them at people and kill them or stab them with it. The other important thing is she's innately connected to Cloak, where she feeds Cloak, and also, if she doesn't use her light powers, it can kill her as well. So, like, she's constantly building up light energy in her body. And if she doesn't expel it, it'll actually, like, blow her up. So, like, Cloak feeds on her light energy and, like, keeps her from dying. I guess if she's, like, constantly throwing the daggers, it'll also keep her from not dying. And, yeah, you know. But, I almost said anyhow. It's basically this whole thing of her fighting a bunch of vampires. So she just gets attacked, kills them, another one shows up, fights them. It's really cool battle scenes. It's very well drawn. She's very pretty. She's, obviously she has a really cool, sexy outfit. Stabs him in the leg, stabs him in the chest, and then she gets down to this last one where it turns out she's a guy she knows. So she talks about this coffee shop that her and Cloak would go to, and they would have coffee there, and this is the same barista that would help her. And she's a little bit torn about killing this vampire because she knows him. And then so she kind of like stabs him up against this wall, like where he's kind of like stuck to this wall. And she's like, I don't want to kill him. He's a person that I knew. And like she's having remorse. And then at the last minute,
she kills him, and then she's not a regular anymore.
The vampire gets killed by somebody else.
Oh!
And the big reveal. You might have to show them now. I know it's up.
That's a good scene.
Yeah. Right. So the person who kills the vampire is Elsa.
Oh.
So Elsa is joining the Blood Hunters as of the end of this episode. At the end of this book. So I thought that was a cool reveal. Elsa, fan favorite, vampire hunter.
I'd like to
very,
find that
very good.
art.
This is a really cool picture. That scene right there. So nice team up. Elsa and Dagger teamed up in that book. So we'll see. I'm pretty sure Elsa's on the cover of Blood Hunters 2. So, and a lot of these have something kind of to do with those, like, Werewolf by Night books that came out for Halloween special. Like, Elsa was in those, so. Good reveal on that book, though, right?
That's a good one.
Yeah, not a bad book. I'm not always a huge fan of these, like, little short stories, because I feel like you get a lot less. You know, like, they can't really flush out a whole story, and it tends to be just battle scenes where they're like, hey, let's fight a little bit. Let's fight. So next book, let's jump right in. The next book. We got Doctor Strange issue number 15. This is probably the most important book of all the books so far.
Okay.
This is Jed MacKay, Pascal Ferry. So Jed MacKay, obviously, like I've said so far, big showrunner, book runner, saga runner, whatever you want to call him. Pascal Ferry, not my favorite artist. You guys, Zach will see. Princess will see the artwork inside. You can make your own choice if you like Pascal Ferry or not. He's a decent artist. It's just a different style for me.
What we're really saying is, Pascal Ferry, you suck.
I don't know. Well, vampires. Good cover though. So you get a little reveal with him having fangs. So right off the bat, you get a recap of the exact same stuff that happened at the end of Blood Hunt. So you get Blade coming to the house, explain to them a little, again, the story. So we already know this happens if you read the other one. Then he gets stabbed in the chest. Blade stabs Doctor Strange in the chest with his sword, and Clea's there. So it's Clea, Doctor Strange, and Blade. Then immediately Blade takes Doctor Strange and bites him on the neck. So I thought maybe Strange might be getting killed. He turns him. So he turns him into a vampire. Clea and Blade go into this big long battle. Clea is really powerful. So she's like the sorceress supreme of the dark dimension. She's also like the niece of Dormammu, and like pretty powerful chick. So she fights Blade. They battle it out. She should be more powerful than him, I think. I feel like. She calls him Daywalker a bunch, which I think is kind of cool, because I always like that they called him that in the movie. They're like, Daywalker. Anyway. Yeah. So he explains to her that he has special magic swords. And I think it's on the next, right here, where she's like, how are you this powerful? And he's like, oh, I got these special swords. And he tells her a story about where he got the swords from. So that's the reason why he's able to battle her. I think otherwise he would just get his butt kicked. It's a long sort of thing. He does kind of like lay out like his master plan for his reason. And she tells him like, we're going to make the Montes formula. They keep talking about the Montes formula, and that's this thing that will kill all the vampires in the world if they complete the spell. And if they like complete the spell, all the vampires in the world will die, and that's kind of like the goal. The other caveat to that is they need the what is that? The book called
the Book of Life, or
no, the Darkhold. They need the Darkhold. So you need the Darkhold in order to make the Montes formula. And part of his thing is if he turns Doctor Strange into a vampire, then Clea will be less likely to use the Montes formula because it will also kill Doctor Strange. So that's like his you won't be able to do it now because you're going to kill your guy. It's kind of a loose plan because like if he's trying to kill Doctor Strange, why didn't he just kill Clea? Then he wouldn't have to worry about it. But apparently he can't enough trying to kill Clea. So he calls the Blood Coven, which is that new group we found. He's like, get me out of here. I'll escape via portal. They apparently have portals. And Clea realizes now, she's like, okay, looks like I got to fight Doctor Strange, vampire. And so while fighting him, she does that like astral punch. Do you remember like in, they did it in Avengers, Infinity War or Endgame, where Ancient One like punches the Hulk and like his body like astral projects out of it. So she does that to Doctor Strange. The cool thing is now at this point, Doctor Strange's astral body is not a vampire. So his body is a vampire, but his astral projection is not. So he can still like understand what he needs to do. And they argue a little bit because he tells Clea like, okay, you have to do the Montes formula. You got to like kill the vampires. And she's like, I don't want to kill you. Like, I would rather be dead than live in a world without you. So there's a little bit of resistance. Their love story is really strong in this current run, so kind of cool. You do get a group of heroes that show up on the doorstep.
Tigra.
Yeah, and they're like, hey, what's going on?
Tigress.
We're here. Tigra.
Okay.
Yeah, so the group of heroes is really cool, fun group. So it's Tigra, Hunter's Moon, and Miles, one of my favorite Spider-Man, which is interesting because we haven't seen Miles. Last time we saw him, he was with Blade. So I don't know what that means. And they're like, basically you can get a setup that they're putting together a group. And if you miss, there's a big reveal on the last page. Right there. You just missed it. Nope. There's the big reveal. So there is a astral body that lives at Doctor Strange's house that has an astral projection that has no body. And it is Victor Strange, who is Doctor Strange's long lost brother. He is a character that they revealed in the last the Halloween book. They did talk about it. So he used to be a vampire that they knocked him out of his body, and now he was like a prisoner at the Bleecker Street mansion. And he basically says, now there's an open body. So now that Doctor Strange isn't in his vampire body, it's a body that he can go into. Mm. So take it as it will. There's an empty body for me to go inside. Kind of cool. Like I said, I haven't read that much Doctor Strange, so I'm not as familiar with Victor Strange, but apparently he's a pretty major villain from the past. Like I said, Jed MacKay likes to pull out old villains and remind us all that he knows these real characters. And it's cool. I thought that was a very important issue to kind of...
Interesting.
Yeah.
A little strange.
Get it? A little strange.
All right, next book.
Next book. We got 3 more to go, guys. Let's see how we're going. 3 more. Like I said, no idea how long this video is going to be, but you might break it up, watch it in some smaller amounts, or watch it all one time while you're driving to work. The next book, Dracula #1. This is a brand new title for Blood Hunt. It's Danny Lore and Vicento Caratu. And I'm not familiar with either of these, the writer or the artist, but it's good. It's good, actually really good. The artwork was really good. Story's not bad. I wish I'd read more Dracula to give you guys more backstory on him. Obviously, he's a much older character, 70s character. He's actually the reason why there is Blade. Blade's first appearances in Dracula, what, 10?
Is that right? Tomb of Dracula number 10? Yeah,
so.
I think that's right.
Yeah, 10. So I'm a little not sure if Dracula is a good guy or not a good guy. I feel like he's kind of a bad guy. And the lead you on the beginning, like he's getting armored up and he's getting ready for war. Dracula is, and they show Dracula, and he's basically has like his coven. He's obviously a leader of a coven, and he has a spy girl who shows up. I thought that was like Misty Knight or something like that, but it's not. There's some spy girl, and she's been spying on other covens, and she's basically explaining to Dracula that something's going on, like all the vampires are messing everybody up, and you should be aware of this. And he kills her and says he's going to drink her blood for the journey. And he's going to go check out why all these other vampires are screwing things up in the world. And you switch over. He actually says he's looking for Brielle, too. So Brielle Brooke is bloodline. So there's a reason he wants Brielle Brooke. They don't tell you why. Okay. So he's like, I want to find Brielle. And it's kind of confusing about that. But you get this feeling he's not a good guy because he does kill that chick, and he's like, I'm going to drink her blood for the road. So, yeah. You get to cross over, you get Brielle. She's going to school. She has 2 friends. Brielle has had a solo series. I did not read it. So, but you give the inkling that these 2 friends are important because they say their names. They know that she is a vampire hunter. So they're obviously she has told them like important things about her. So I think that's interesting. The sun goes out, the sun goes dark. So her eyes turn white, and she gets like a headache, and she basically gets supercharged. So you can see like one of her friends like, are you okay? And she accidentally pushes them away, but it's like super like, they like fly across the room.
Oh no.
And then when she goes to open the car door, it like rips the car door off by accident. She's like, you guys might have to drive. So her powers are getting like supercharged. And if you don't know Brielle's backstory, I didn't say this, it's Blade's daughter. So Brielle is Blade's daughter. She has a real mother that's a vampire hunter as well. And so I think she's like a diluted version of a vampire, maybe like a quarter vampire. So, because Blade's like half vampire, she must be a quarter. I think that's how it works. And then, you get Dracula shows up at this gravesite, and 2 vampires are harassing a lady, and they're like, we're gonna you suck your blood. And Dracula shows up, and they're like, why are you dressed like some like old school fool? Because he's got like knight armor on with like a sword, and they're kind of making fun of him for being like an oldie vampire, and he beats the crap out of him really easy, make super quick with him. Then they split back and forth. So then they show some vampires show up, and Brielle, bloodline, is fighting vampires and saving a family. And then they kind of switch, and it's back to like Dracula fighting vampires. And basically they kind of run into each other while they're fighting. It's some really cool vampire fighting scenes, killing them and stuff like that. And she gets surrounded, and Dracula like shows up and just starts ripping the crap out of like all these vampires super easy. And she states that like she hasn't seen anybody kill vampires that easily except for like her dad. So he obviously must be like really powerful. Like he's just like, she's kind of staking people, and he's like just ripping their bodies in like to shreds.
Yeah.
And it's some really good artwork. There is a point where one of the vampires says like, this is Brielle, and there's something special about her. Right when they're about to say what's special, she kills him. So you're like, what was he gonna say? What was he gonna say was special about her? And then she also says that it's interesting that the vampires knew who she was, because the only person who knows who she is Blade.
Father, yeah.
Yeah. So she kind of puts 2 and 2 together. There's something weird that the vampires are like looking for her specifically, and Blade's the only one that knows that she's like a special vampire blood. She does then mention that she knows who Dracula is, and she knows that he is a bad guy. And he says, your dad has always been one of my greatest enemies of all time, but I'm willing to put that aside and team up with you because there's something special about you, and I'm not going to say what it is, that I need you, and so let's team up. And they do this thing where they travel with like blood. He like throws his blood out on the ground, and like kind of like, like Harry Potter, like flu powder, like Diagon Alley, like sucks him through to that place. They travel like by blood. And they end up on this building with all these vampires jumping off, and they show Daredevil. So maybe Daredevil.
And my prediction is Bloodline and Dracula are gonna go out on a date.
Do you think so?
Yes.
I think he's really like he looks like an old man. She's
like,
drawn pretty. She's drawn very nice. Though. I like the way Bloodline looks.
He's gonna Johnny Depp her.
Johnny?
Not Johnny Depp. Ah, crap! It was what's his name?
Who?
Oh, not Johnny Depp. The other dude that was in Catch Me If You Can.
I don't know.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Was he a vampire?
No. Well, Johnny Depp was a vampire. That's probably that in Dark Shadow. Okay, whatever. Doesn't matter. Doesn't make sense. I was making a stupid joke.
I got
really
you.
stupid.
It's a good joke. Overall, cool book. I've never been not a huge fan of Bloodline. I think she's an interesting character, but I think this could be a really big turning point for her for being a major player in the Marvel universe. If she becomes like the linchpin for this whole series, and Blood Hunt goes over really well, and everybody's like, "Whoa, Bloodline's really cool." And then everyone's looking for her first appearance. That could happen. I think could be cool. I just saying, she could be fun. And, side note: she does fight Dracula for a minute, just because that's the way it happens when you're like, "Who are you?" And she is way less powerful than him. Way. Like she could not fight him at all. She goes to swing at him, and he like disappears. Like that's how much faster he is. So keep that in mind. She's way less powerful than he is.
For now. Next
book up, we've got Strange Academy #1.
What?
This is a special, I think they call it like spring story for Bloodlines. So this is a Bloodlines tie-in. This is also 3 separate stories, and they're all written by the same guy. I don't know why they did that way. Daniel Jose Older is the writer. And 2 of them are drawn by the same guy. 1 of them is drawn by a different guy. The cover is Humberto Ramos. It's beautiful. Humberto Ramos always does a good job. He normally draws this series. He does not draw the interiors on this one. On that note, the interiors are pretty good. So I was surprised. So they give you a quick tidbit. I won't go too deep in Strange Academy because the team has shrunken a lot. But the team is right here in the beginning page. So the current team in this story is Doyle Dormammu. You got Shay Lee, Toth, Gus, German, and Zoe. So there's missing about 3 or 4 different people. But right off the bat, you're missing a character. Let's add a new one in. So brand new character. They're basically, her name is P-A-I. How would you pronounce that? Was it Pia or Pi? Pia?
Pei.
Pei?
Pei?
Would be Pei?
P-A-I?
P-I-A. Sorry.
P-I-A. Pia.
Pia. Is it Pia? Okay. We'll say Pia. So there's a new student, and they're like taking her on a journey, so to speak. So she is talking with all the characters about going to visit somewhere I think they're still in New Orleans, because that's like where the school is. And she's having a monologue in her head at the same time that she's with the students. So they're saying stuff to her and being really nice. But she's saying about lying to them. So she's like, how many times will I lie to these people while I'm with them? So it's kind of strange. And they talk to her, and she says like lie number 1, lie number 2, lie number 3, like as she's talking. So you're getting a feeling like she may not be like a good guy, which is I'm not sure if she's a good guy or not. They do mention that she has a familiar that she hangs out with. She's going to introduce them to her familiar. It's a super cute little ghost bunny named Tito Pepping. It's like that. Do you see that little bunny? It's like I think it's on her head right there. Yeah, it's an important thing. So they have like a tour guide, and they take him like tour through the catacombs, and he gets bit by a vampire right away, and they're like, oh, okay, we're battling some vampires. Seems to be the theme of this show today, and the team does an okay job battling the vampires. They have some powers. I will say the way they talk is a little different than how they would normally talk, just because of a different writer. That kind of threw me off like a little bit. Like just Doyle talks a little too cheery than he normally does. It's kind of like, hey, yeah, I'm Doyle. I feel like he doesn't normally talk that way, but whatever. And they end up defeating the vampires, and she ends up staking the new character, Pia, stakes a vampire to save German. So she saves German by staking a vampire. She's like, okay, so she's clearly not like stabs him with a shovel, and so she clearly like does want to help them, to some extent. The vampires, a bunch more of them show up, and they're like, okay, that's a lot. So who shows up to save them? Brother Voodoo. So Brother Voodoo's like, and he right now is the principal of a Strange Academy.
Yeah.
So Doctor Strange is no longer running Strange Academy. It's Brother Voodoo.
Also a vampire.
Yeah, so he sets up like a barrier to block the vampires and kind of kicks their butt. He's pretty powerful. So, and then he's like, all right, students, be careful. There's vampires afoot. But Pia, I need to talk to you specifically. So he sits her down in the office and he's like, I need to know like something specific about you that we don't know as the reader. And then right when you're about to find out what it is, Doctor Strange talks off camera and pops in as his astral projection. And he's like, all right, I need the room. Clear the room out. And he's like, right when you're about to find out maybe something important about Pia. And then so Doctor Strange clears out the room and you basically have... I'm trying to remember what happens at this point. Oh, he hears them talking about the Montes formula again. So like, okay, we need to get the Montes formula. I need your help in order to find the Darkhold. Sorry, yes, the Darkhold. Thank you, Zach. Like the Darkhold. So the kids are listening on the other side of the door, and they make the assumption like, hey, let's save everyone the trouble and go get the Darkhold. Oh, so the kids are like, let's go on a mission and we'll get the Darkhold for Doctor Strange. The Darkhold happens to be in Madripoor. So for some reason, every book is using Madripoor like massively a lot now since we saw it in the show. So they go to Madripoor and they kind of know where the Darkhold's supposed to be. There is kind of a surprise when they get to Madripoor. They use a portal to get there. When they get to, so save some time to use a portal. The big surprise is the Darkhold is no longer a book. It is a kid. It's a little kid. So the Darkhold has been turned into a kid. And they're like, you found me! And I think he's really powerful. He's like really, really powerful. So he fights the team and stomps the crap out of like the entire team. So he beats up all of the members of Strange Academy by himself. And at the end, he's about to hurt Pia, and her little like Tito pepping thing, that little like ghost bunny, like jumps in the way and he smacks it out of the way. Hits it to the ground. She gets super angry about it and attacks him. And you get the reveal, she is a vampire.
I knew it.
Pia is a vampire, and she's sucking the blood of the kid. So of the Darkhold kid. So that's kind of like the reveal. This is where the book, then it switches to the two other stories. I'm not really sure why they did this because it's the same writer, but you go back in time. So the second story brings you back to where the Darkhold kid came from. And he kind of explains that he was like created from the book by Wanda, and he's traveling with Agatha, and she's still sexy Agatha for some reason. So we're still using sexy Agatha, and he's kind of a jerk. So he's like doesn't want to listen to her. He's like a brat. So like Agatha's not even being mean to him. She's just like his chaperone. And when he wants to get away from her, he turns a guy on the train into a tiger to attack Agatha. And then when he leaves the train, he gets on this little boat, fishing boat, and he turns the guy into like a demon. And he's like, all right, row me to Madripoor. And that's it. So he's like, I'm going to go mess crap up in Madripoor. So it's like, explain to you how he got there, the kid, and then that was it. Then, it's kind of silly that they didn't do that first, so they're like explaining, but whatever, maybe it would have been cool that it was like a reveal that he's saying. Now we go back even further, and now we're going to learn about how Pia became a vampire. So the cool thing is that she's basically just walking in the street, and a vampire attacks her, and she kills it with a stake. Mm-hmm. And then she can't fend off the second vampire who gets her, and basically bites her and turns her. So somehow Dr. Voodoo finds her after she's been bit, and he keeps her in a dark room, and he's like basically trying to find out if she's going to turn into a vampire or not. And so it opens up the door for the light to come in, and her body gets burnt. So he's like, you're screwed. You're a vampire. Like, there's nothing I can do for you now. Doesn't make the assumption to go kill the original vampire to protect her. And he gives her that Tito pepping, that bunny. Mm. When he gives her the bunny, it basically puts this glow over her body, and then she goes in the sunlight, and she's immune to the sunlight. So if she has her bunny, she can go into the sunlight. And I thought this was kind of cool in a way because I think adding more students to the Strange Academy is cool. Obviously, we've lost a couple of students. I'm not going to ruin that for you on which students got lost, but they've added a couple of new students so far. So I was thinking she was going to be a villain character, and then she may turn out to be kind of an important character, and maybe we'll see her in the next Strange Academy.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So, all right, ready, guys, for the last book? Everyone's still awake? I know this was a very long journey. And to round things out, the last book is the weirdest book. It's by far the weirdest. This is Venom 33, and this is actually written by Al Ewing and Juan Ferreira did the artwork on this. Al Ewing, big time writer for Marvel, so written a lot of cool stuff. Still been writing Venom since kind of issue 1. And it's been all over the place, and this is kind of strange how this even fits into Blood Hunt at all. I don't even know why they added Venom in, but we will see. So let's open this bad boy up and see what tales it has to give us. I don't really know how to tell you guys anything's been going on with Venom lately because it's been all crazy, but Venom's like not even on Earth anymore, and Dylan supposedly died, but he's kind of back to life. So it starts off, and you get these two vampires talking, and they explain that both of them have been alive for a long time. So they're not necessarily like new vampires. Like one of them was alive back in 1945. One of them was alive in 1745. Oh, so wow. There is older vampires showing up to join in on this blood hunt. Why that's important? They're basically talking about dropping a bomb on, I'm assuming New York. I'm guessing it's New York where they're at. And the bomb, oh yeah, New York. Yeah, it does say. Good job. Princess got my back. She's making sure I know what's up. So they're like dropping a bomb, and then when you get to see the bomb, it's a coffin. So the bomb is a coffin. So what comes out of coffins, Zach?
Yeah, vampires.
Vampires. So they drop this bomb / coffin, and it lands on a building, and they're like kind of scared to drop it. They're like, I don't know if we should release whoever this is. Strangely enough, this weird looking dude comes out. It's like, who does he look like? Frieza? Kind of looks like Frieza. Yeah, so it's a weird thing. What he says is I smell symbiotes. So he's like a vampire for symbiotes. Actually, the artwork in this book is really good. I just forgot how good the artwork is in this. So he's like, says he smells symbiotes. You're getting basically an idea of a new bad guy. So it's a new big bad guy, possibly new. So you get to see Venom. As you're reading this, you realize it's just Venom. There's nobody inside.
Okay.
It's just the suit. And he starts talking about like how he has to feed on his host and otherwise he'll die. And like he says like he needs someone inside him, otherwise he's gonna like die. And he thinks Dylan's dead. He thinks Carnage killed Dylan. So he's like sad. And obviously this Venom is not with Eddie. Eddie's like his own symbiote now. He is a symbiote. Not to get too crazy on that, but he's reminiscing about an older character named Lee Price. And Lee Price's grave is on the cover of the book. I was not as familiar with Lee Price. He is apparently a character that got a symbiote back in 2016. And he was known as Maniac. So he was a bad guy named Maniac. And I think it's an offshoot of Venom or something. Like Venom had a baby again, or he was wearing it. But at some point, he gets killed. Lee Price gets killed, and everyone seems to be okay with it. So basically, and then they do bring up Null again, which is interesting. So they talk about there's supposed to be a Venom War coming soon, and they talk about Null might be coming again, which is interesting because Null got killed. I think Eddie might actually end up becoming Null.
The new Null?
Yeah, the new Null, but that's just my assumption of what might be happening. So that part of the story ends. You split over, and you get to see Dylan. Dylan is alive. So,
hanging out with another symbiote.
Yeah, he's hanging out with another symbiote, and the writing is blue for the symbiote. So you know what that means? It's Toxin. So he's hanging out with his boy Toxin. So Toxin is good now, and there's another kid inside him named Bren, who is inside Toxin. So Toxin and Dylan and the Red Goblin are all friends. So if you guys are reading up on Dylan Brock is Eddie Brock's son. The big reveal for him in the last Venom run was that he is actually a son of Venom as well. So Eddie and Venom are his dad.
Aww.
So he has two dads and a mom. The Anne Whining is still his mom, but he's got two dads. You know, like that show, My Two Dads?
My Two Dads.
So he actually is a symbiote. Like, naturally, his body is, like, part symbiote, which is weird.
Cool.
Yeah. So he kind of talks, he gives a little background about him and, you know, him and Toxin being friends, and Toxin's like, yo, you can stay at my house, this place where I have this sweaty mattress, crappy mattress you can sleep on. And he does also, you get a kind of a feeling of why Dylan's mad at Venom, and like when he got supposedly killed, Dylan finds out that Venom was used to be a bad guy. So he's like, oh, remember all those people that you killed back when you and Eddie were going around murdering people? Mm. And he's like, I didn't know that. I don't want to be connected to someone who's like a killer.
Everybody has a couple bodies connected to them.
Yeah, so that's why Dylan is not with Venom right now, and Venom thinks that he's dead at the same time. So it's kind of, they're like separated. They're separated from each other. So the Venom symbiote gets drawn to a graveyard, and this artwork is crazy. Like, the artwork is super awesome. And so the symbiote's like, okay, for some reason, there's like this pulling, and it's like, go to this graveyard and check things out. So he goes to this graveyard, and he sees the grave of Lee Price. Yeah, so he sees the grave of Lee Price, and it's all messed up. And he's like, what the heck? Like, the coffin's been dug out. This is artwork crazy? Super good artwork.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. Then he sees the graves all dig up, and he's like, what the heck? And you kind of get this voice off camera where you're like, and he's like, all right. So you get to see a Lee Price.
Vampire.
No, it's a zombie.
Oh, zombie.
Yeah, zombie symbiote. So he's like, what the heck? I think he actually even says he's like a symbiote. He refers to him as a zombie / symbiote. Maybe Princess will show you that real quick. The zombie symbiote. It's pretty crazy looking. She's like, it's gnarly. The zombie symbiote.
Fantastic art.
Yeah, it's really cool. He's basically led him to this area to run into this guy. So they fight. So Venom fights zombie symbiote, Lee Price, and kicks his butt. Actually, Venom does a good job. I think he actually like rips off his own headstone and knocks his head off. Like, bah! And you find out that he's just a ploy to get him there. Okay. So that the real bad guy is the symbiote vampire, and he reveals that his name is the Captive. And he's like, I'm going to eat you because I like the taste of Clintar. So he is some kind of being that has been feeding on symbiotes, because he talks about, and Venom's like, I never met you, but I have a feeling I know you've been eating a lot of my people. And you're kind of like, okay. And they leave it there. It's a mystery. So it leaves it off like, what happens to Venom? We'll find out on the next issue. Then it switches back over to Dylan, and he's all alone in the hideout, and he's got this crappy mattress he's sitting on. And at the last panel, you got to see these eyes were watching him, so someone's watching him in there. I think he's in a church, actually, and it may be the church where Eddie tried to kill himself when he became Venom. And out of the shadows comes a priest, and it's a really creepy vampire priest, and he's ready to attack Dylan. And it leaves it there, so it kind of like ends at that story. And the thing with Venom is, or the thing with Dylan is, you're not really sure if he has powers anymore. He kind of has powers without the suit, and he kind of doesn't. So it leaves you on a cliffhanger, like he may not be powerful enough to take a vampire by himself. So what's going to happen? Stay tuned and find out.
Stay tuned.
Where does this have to do with Blood Hunt? I have no idea. It's a strange story. It's weird that they're like, hey, there's this other vampire who sucks the life out of symbiotes. I don't know.
Yeah.
He looked kind of cool, though, didn't he?
Kind of cool.
Yeah. It almost like it just needed to be its own story, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's Blood Hunt Phase 1. I think there's some cool reveals that happened. I can definitely tell you probably don't need to read all the tie-ins. I mean, you can just watch this. No, I think it'd be the update.
Yeah, and then you're good.
Yeah, just strange. I mean, it's a huge event. I've heard somewhere that's like 59 different issues are going to be included in this. You may just need to probably just read the Blood Hunt series, and then any book written by Jed MacKay would probably cover it. And then the other stuff, if you're reading those titles and you enjoy them, like they're bringing in Fantastic Fours coming in one of the phases soon. So if you haven't seen any Fantastic Four and you want to, you're going to.
I'm just
what do you think,
excited.
Zach?
I'm just excited about Bloodstone. You know,
Yeah, Elsa. That was a
yeah.
cool reveal, right? Elsa coming in. I know Manwolf was really cool. Elsa was really fun. Obviously, I think the Moon Knight part is really exciting as well. I think Miles and like Hunter's Moon and Tigra will be really fun. Tigra's a really dope character as well. I really enjoy her. I said the Venom one's strange, but it could lead us down a cool path. I don't know. You know, if it's directly going to jump right into like the Venom War. I think it's going to be Venom War is the next series, but
Very well could.
yeah. Super long video. We apologize, but it was really fun and exciting to do this with you guys. Do us a huge favor right now. Stop what you're doing. Hit the like button because Princess sat for over an hour and didn't talk. So she would enjoy you guys doing that. Zach gave us some great jokes, some amazing stuff. But yeah, leave us a comment down below. Let us know what you think of how Blood Hunt's going. If you're excited for it, if you're not excited for it, to let me know which issues you thought were garbage, which issues you thought were cool. Obviously, I didn't like them all either, so as well. Some of them were cool as well. And depending on how this video goes, if we get a lot of views, then we'll continue on with phase 2. Maybe not as long. I might trim out some of the books that don't matter, and I'll decide that ahead of time. And yeah, anything else special, Zach?
Yeah, I guess sure. How you do this? You watch our videos, have a good time, like, subscribe, and all that bit. You also gotta share it, guys. Share it to everybody that you know and pretty much everybody you don't know. And that's how we grow the channel. We can provide great content like this, have a lot of fun, and of course, as always, get those gains.
Yeah, get them. Maybe we'll have to do drunk reviews. Drunk reviews.
Okay.
Stay tuned for drunk reviews. And stay safe.
And get those gains.
Get them. Peace.